is a new movie directed by Ang Lee, who directed 2003's Hulk movie, and also directed Life of Pi. Such a huge contrast there. This movie features an assassin named Henry Brogan trying to fight and kill off a younger version of himself, who is sent to kill Henry. This movie's been in development hell since 1997. At one point, Mel Gibson was attached to star, Harrison Ford was attached to star, and even Sean Connery at one point. That would have been interesting, actually. I'll come back around to the whole Sean Connery thing in a little bit. But it has come out in 2019 now on a budget of $138 million to $158 million. And it's directed by Ang Lee, who uses some new technology. This movie is presented in 120 frames per second. I don't think I saw it in 120 frames per second, at least I don't know. If I did, it was in IMAX. I don't know if I saw it at that high of a frame rate. I really don't tend to notice stuff like that. But, I mean, this movie was hailed as the next coming of the big digital makeovers and de-aging technology with special effects and visual effects. I'm just going to get right into this review, so let's talk about Gemini Man. This analysis of Gemini Man, because this movie it's not good. This is a very boring movie. It's an uninteresting movie. It's a movie we've seen done so many times before. The biggest issue with this movie is its script. This script is really lacking. It has so much exposition. It is devoid of character development. It is devoid of any emotion. It is devoid of any sense of a story. Whether it's a cohesive story or a convoluted story, there's nothing here. It's everything you've seen before in a story like this, especially when it's a clone versus a clone. This movie reminded me so much of Looper, and how Looper did this sort of face your older self or your younger self a lot better. Looper just did it so much better, and this movie just feels like it's so cliched. It feels just so generic and unoriginal. Premise that has been done to death before, I'm cool with. All these time travel movies we're getting, I'm cool with. As long as they add something unique and fresh to the genre. Which is how I felt Endgame worked so well, because it added something fresh to that take on time travel. This offers nothing new. This is so unoriginal and just a rehash of everything before that it's just so dull, boring, generic, and basically uninteresting. I was bored by the time the first chase came around, and that first chase, let's talk about the special effects in this movie, since we're getting into the action sequences. Some of the action sequences are fun. I didn't think they were groundbreaking or anything. They were fun. But the special effects in this movie, my god. For a movie that cost between $138 million to $158 million to make, I would expect a lot better, honestly, because this first chase actually had me riveted. I was pretty entertained by that motorcycle chase, but the end of it is the stupidest thing I have ever seen. And the special effects in these scenes, especially when it comes to a de-aged Will Smith to look younger, it doesn't work. It just looks so jaw-droppingly bad. The end of this chase sequence, I was just like, did that just really fucking happen? I laughed at certain parts in this movie, and there's another action sequence later on in the movie where the CGI was horrendous. And I sat there thinking to myself, this movie came out in 2019. This is a movie released in 2019, and this is the best we have in terms of visual effects? Come on, guys. It's so weird. You look at the younger version of Will Smith in this, this is how you know the CGI is really bad. When he's speaking and his lips aren't in sync with what he's saying, like the words are coming before, like, the mouth movements, or the mouth movements just look really bad. Yeah, it's that bad for a big budget movie. I'm gonna come back around to the script for a minute. I think a big reason why this script is so horrendous is that there's too many cooks in the kitchen. This is just an assembly line. This feels like a bunch of workers that went to work at a factory and were told to put something on a conveyor belt. One of them was like, alright, here we go. Alright, that part's done. Pass it off to the next one. It was like, alright, that part's done. Pass it off to the final writer, and was like, alright, well, I don't know where to go from here, so you clearly didn't know where to go before me. You just went off of his initial first act, so I'm just gonna do this and we'll end it there. That's what this feels like, and I think a lot of people are actually going to hate this movie before even seeing it because David Benioff is one of the writers. David Benioff, well, obviously worked on Game of Thrones. Season 8 of Game of Thrones got a lot of hate from fans. Everybody, not named me, hated Season 8 of Game of Thrones. So, say what you want about David Benioff. I don't think you should judge anybody based on past work. But, I mean, there's definitely too many cooks in the kitchen with this script. And I think that that's a huge reason as to why this script just feels so unoriginal, you know? It just feels like a rushed product. It just feels like the studio is like, this is taking us 20 years to make. We gotta get this thing out. Ang Lee directing this, I don't really know if he can direct action, honestly. He's really good when it comes to more artistic films, like Life of Pi. He's really good at that stuff. But when it comes to big budget blockbusters like this, and 2003's Hulk, that's where he's not very good. And when I saw that he was directing this movie, I was skeptical. I was like, this movie looks somewhat interesting, but I'm a little skeptical because it's Ang Lee. I walked out, I was like, yep, that's exactly what I thought the movie was going to be. It was just some dumb, poorly directed movie from Ang Lee. Will Smith in this movie, I think he was the wrong choice. Because Will Smith's not that old in real life. Like, he's facing off against a younger clone of himself. Will Smith still kind of looks the same as he did when he was 25. Like, Will Smith is 50, which is referenced a couple times throughout the movie for some dumb reason. I have no idea why. He just didn't work because I was like, he's not old enough. Why didn't you cast somebody like Sean Connery or something? Because can you imagine an 80-year-old Sean Connery going up against Sean Connery from Dr. No? Sean Connery was 32 when Dr. No came out. He's like 90 years old now. That could have been perfect if you did something like that, or like Sylvester Stallone. Take Sylvester Stallone now. The younger version of Sylvester Stallone could be Sylvester Stallone from Rocky. The original Rocky from 1976. Would work perfectly. Will Smith now, Will Smith back in the day, does not work, because he looks the same. They should have just cast his son, Jaden. Isn't Jaden like 20 years old now? I mean, you can make him look like a young Will Smith, can't you? You can make him look like a discount Fresh Prince. Do it! That's something that I never understood, and this movie is just full of exposition. Every movie needs exposition. There are some that can get away with very minimal exposition. One prime example of that is War for the Planet of the Apes, one of the best movies of 2017. Regret not putting that on my top 10 list of that year. That's a movie that can get away with minimal exposition. This movie is just exposition. Exposition galore. That's another problem with this script. Everybody was just like, well, the audience is too dumb to figure everything out, and we already told them everything before, but we're going to reiterate that because they probably forgot. Yeah, but this exposition needs to be used at times when it's deemed fit and at times when things might seem a little cloudy. That's where I think exposition needs to be used. Star Trek 09 does it perfectly. Chris Stuckman referenced this in one of his videos, I think it was the Phantom Menace review, where there's a situation happening on screen and they're given the dialogue related to that situation, but they're also giving dialogue related to moving the plot forward. It makes for an interesting scene, it makes for a unique scene, it makes for a funny scene. People standing around blabbing exposition or sitting around blabbing exposition is not fun to watch, okay? It's just boring. That's what this movie is. There's really no positives in this movie other than the performances. I mean, even though I feel like Will Smith is really miscast in this movie, I mean, he's trying. Same with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Benedict Wong. Everybody in this movie is trying. It's just the final product isn't that good. I can't say anything about the frame rate because, like I said, if it was 120 frames per second, I didn't notice it. I mean, I don't notice things like that. My brain just can't compute with what the difference is between frame rates and all that. I don't know. My brain's messed up. This is something that could have had a unique twist on it, and instead it's just something unoriginal and cliche, and it's a very boring movie. Don't waste your time. I'm sorry this review's late. It's a few days late. Had to see it a little late, but don't waste your time on Gemini Man, because I'm going to give it a D. Guys, what did you think of Gemini Man? If you have seen it, I want some feedback. Drop me a comment in the comments section below. Over here, you can find some more reviews I have done. You can subscribe to my channel. That big circle has my logo in it. Click that to subscribe if you like that content, if you like this video. I have some more content coming very soon. I'm in the middle of my Halloween Spooktacular series. Having a lot of fun filming that. I had a lot of fun doing some stuff with my cousin Pat over the weekend. That was really fun. Stay tuned for more content very soon. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.